Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. That's the thing. Everyone makes mistakes, but if they apologize, it makes all the difference. I need to start smoking just to keep a bottle like this available. Good show. What a perfect way to knock that stupid woman down off her throne. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Here, chick, have a Craigslist roommate. I had a roommate in college who was a nightmare. She always tore up my dishes, my pots and pans, used my shampoo, wore my jeans, never asked permission, just walked into my room and took whatever she wanted. She had nothing of her own, I swear. My pots were just parts of a cheap set from Target, but they were all I had. The last straw was when she ruined one heating it up with nothing in it. Why? The world may never know. I put all the pots and pans in my bedroom and kept my door locked after that. I also banned her from touching anything I owned or had purchased. I resorted to petty crap like, these are my eggs and that's my remote. I was young and entirely too salty for my own good, I will openly admit. She was so upset after a week of being denied part ownership of my things that she ended up insisting that I move out. Bold move, honcho, considering it was my name on the lease, not hers, and I'd been letting her live with me without putting her name on the lease. And we had another 2 months on our lease. But okay, fine, sounds great to me, Bubbles. So I went to the landlord and informed him I wanted out of my lease. He was used to students bopping in and out, college town, and he said as long as I could find a subleaser and give up my deposit to that person, I could leave early. Naturally, he didn't know or probably care, they were seedy college apartments, that I had an illegitimate roommate who wasn't on my lease. Guess who got a new roommate courtesy of Craigslist exactly 2 days later? Not me. I couch surfed with a friend across town until getting a better job in my own apartment. This sounds harsh for a burnt pan, but earlier in the year, my dog bit her. He nipped her hand. There was no broken skin, just one hell of a bruise. He nipped her hand because he was in my room and she came in on her own accord when I was not home and reached over to him and the threshold to my door to open my dresser. I had a baby gate blocking him in my room, so she had to admit that's what had happened, but said she needed her necklace that was mysteriously in my room. Her parents bullied 20-year-old me into giving him away because I was young and scared of getting in trouble. I was paying my own rent and needed her half. I ended up agreeing to give the dog away to a friend. The whole ordeal was terrible. Shortly after that, she got a cat. I think the whole thing was a setup so she could get a cat without my dog trying to eat it. Back to Chinese roommate. Guy found my ad, said he and his wife would take it. They were at the door to the leasing office to sign papers the next day. She was livid. Her parents were livid. She'd told them she was on the lease, and they had been paying for half the rent, so the sudden realization that she was lying and that she had nowhere to live was a bit exciting for everyone involved on that end. But there was nothing they could do. It was my apartment, and I had the right to sublet it, as she was not on the lease. B-word, don't use my pans. I never apologized for forcing her to live with a random Chinese man and his wife, though, and I have no idea how long she was still there with them until she moved. He had the right to kick her out, I assume he did. So Maggie, I'm sorry I possibly forced brief homelessness upon you when we were sophomores in college. And our second story. Entitled jerk assaults me for being disabled. I am, as you can tell from the title, physically disabled. My main 4 conditions are Marfan syndrome, scoliosis, somewhat corrected surgically, but I cannot bend over anymore. The third one is arthritis in my legs. Yes, people in their 20s can get arthritis, and whilst it isn't super bad anymore, then down my road and back is painful. Because of this cocktail of pain, I am unable to ride a normal bicycle and instead must rely on a mobility scooter. I'm experimenting with a custom e-bike I cobbled together, but not confident 100% with it yet. I love my scooter. I call her Rosie due to her red paint. Sure, she isn't a standard mobility scooter, essentially being an electric moped someone slapped 2 extra wheels on. While she's as maneuverable as a sledgehammer, she can take me a good 50 miles per charge, plus I can get to work on it without any issue and in about 10 to 20 minutes depending on traffic. So on to the incident. I was on my way home and took a route through the local common as per usual. Class 3 invalid carriages can go on both walkways and roads. I slid onto one of the main paths when I saw a cyclist ahead of me. He was just cresting the hill and was on my side of the path. I'd hazard a guess and say there must have been at most 18 to 20 meters space between us. Now, me on a slow scooter, I saw no one was right behind me, not even a walker, so I decided to stop to let him go around me. I got nervous as he closed the gap going top speed but not slowing down before he slammed on the brakes, tumbler brakes I assume from the long stop distance. I did the universal polite driver gesture for go on bud, go around. Then the first thing out of his mouth was, get out of my way or I'll knock you off your scooter. Not being a moron, I whipped out my phone, stuck in my earbuds, they have better quality mic, and hit record. He goes on to comment, oh, you're recording now? And I inform him that yes, because he's made a physical threat. Now, I'll admit I was being a bit of an a-hole during our recorded interaction, but I show zero respect to people that think they can use intimidation to get over me. We argued for about 5 minutes, going over things like the condition of the path and how little I actually cared about his tires. He claimed to have really had expensive tires and was worried that going over racks would burst his tires, which I don't understand. Aren't more pricey tires more durable? But that also brings up, if he's concerned that normal usage of his bike tires will burst them, why is he cycling? Did I swear at him? Yes. And his response? To on camera threaten to attack me if I swore at him again. Swearing's not illegal, but threatening someone is. It then goes to a roughly 10-minute standoff of him thinking he can bore me out of the way, to which I pulled my fully charged Steam Deck from my bag and began to play Fallout 3. I put my Steam Deck away after I saw him on the phone with the police and shouted from my position from my scooter, how about you inform them about the fact you threatened me? This, of course, annoyed him. We argued some more. I called him an ableist jerk, to which he then goes up to me and tries to shove me off my scooter and stole my phone. I got up and shouted for him to give me my phone back, to which he said, wait, you can walk? My response was, of course I can walk. I'm on a scooter, not a wheelchair. My blood was running hot, and I was just about ready to tackle the guy and show him why it's a bad idea to wear glasses around someone who knows how to give a good headbutt. A stranger then approached as I saw that fat cyclist jerk stopping the recording and trying to delete the recording. Fortunately, I've been able to recover the footage because he's a technological illiterate a-hole. My memory's a bit scarce. From there, my blood was running high and trying to keep my head clear. I'm fairly sure I shoved that fat B-turd off his bike, got my phone back, and shouted something at him as he cycled off. The last thing I remember of the incident was that fat butt up in my face screaming, so he must have turned around. This is where the stranger gets involved a second time, shoving him back and yelling at him to get lost. Edit. Yes, I've gone to the police about this. Yes, I'm pressing charges. Yes, they've identified him after an appeal to the public. Thank you, Southampton Police. Yes, assault on a disabled person can have bad results for him, especially if his job in any way involves working with the public. And our last story. HOA president, a police officer. If your neighbor's a police officer and the president of the HOA at the same time, you've won the Karen lottery. My congratulations. I heard this story from a friend of mine. It's his story, so all claims are against him, not me. And from now on, I'll tell it in the first person as he told it to me personally. I was lucky to find a bride, not only that she was nice and beautiful, her parents at our wedding, or rather to say her father, presented us with money for our first small house in the countryside. He also gifted me a promise that he would bury me in the yard of this house if I hurt his daughter. But it was so much purely a bonus. We chose a nice little house and made sure it wasn't in an HOA. The only thing we didn't follow was that the HOA house, or rather the neighborhood, started just outside our fence. In that house next door lived an old bat, Karen, and her husband, police officer Jack, who was just like every stereotype of a cop you could think of. He was mean, grumpy, a little overweight, with big bags under his eyes, and always a scowl on his face. I think that's the kind of face that would attract a female Karen in the wild. Karen's squeaky voice still gives me nightmares. Is that what the problem was? At first, we got used to it and learned to hide in the house when Karen flew out of her dungeon on her leathery wings, and life in that neighborhood was even a little pleasant. But one day, in early spring, my wife wanted to build a glass gazebo in our backyard. I ordered a prefab model that I was thinking of building with a friend of mine. On Monday, I had all the materials delivered and the workers unloaded them into my backyard. When I was just looking at all this, Karen materialized behind me, screaming, "The HOA is forbidding you to build a shed in your backyard." I said, "It's not a shed, it's a gazebo. My land is not a part of the HOA." Karen, "My husband's a mother effing cop and he's gonna put you in jail." I told her to leave my territory. And Karen, "And what are you gonna do? Call the police?" And then she dissolved into the fog with a hiss. Her husband came to me that evening and said that storing the boards in the backyard could cause an accidental fire and I should put them away like his wife says. After that, I decided to install a camera on the window. It's been about 2 weeks since that conversation, during which time my friends and my beer and I have been building a gazebo a little bit at a time. I thought it'd be okay since we already started to do the roof, but then one night it happened. I saw a light behind the curtain when I went to the bathroom at night, and what do you think it was burning? My gazebo. I woke up my wife to call the fire department and ran to put it out with a garden hose, and it's a good thing it was far enough away from the house because I couldn't put it out until the fire truck arrived. And what do you think I saw on the camera? Karen crawls on the grass in my yard with a canister in his hands, douses the gazebo with gasoline, and sets it on fire, then runs away, leaving the canister there. Later, the police also found a record at the gas station where Karen buys a can of gasoline because she has a diesel car. Karen's husband filed for divorce right after that, and I heard him yelling that "I effing told you not to do that." I think he was also suspended from the police force because of this case. When Karen was arrested, she yelled that she was going to sue me for the fire on the HOA property. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.